What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, the heart and soul of authentic football fan culture. Straight out of Manchester, you tuned in to Pros and Cons, a show where we pick at the positives and nag at the negatives. This show was originally planned for 12 o'clock, but obviously the news broke quite literally on 12 o'clock that Erik ten Hag had been sacked. So we had to pivot slightly. We went live for that. But I still want to do the initial show that we had planned, but obviously there's going to be a couple of tweaks. There's some news coming in about Julian Nagelsmann and Thomas Frank as the front runners, so I will kind of blend that in with this show, but we're still going to identify the game. We're still going to look at positives and negatives in isolation, and obviously discuss them together. I mean, it just gets worse and worse for United in relation to performances. Every corner we turn, it feels like there's something worse. And if we continue this form for the rest of the season, we would probably finish around 44 points. Maybe that changes with Ruud van Nistelrooy coming as an interim. Maybe you'll get an initial manager bounce. But in isolation, the results that Manchester United have had so far, no way near good enough. 1 win in 8 games, 14th in the league, yet to win in Europe. We got beat by a West Ham team who conceded around 20 goals in all competitions. We missed a million chances again, but even after all that, there was still something a little bit extra in that game that pissed me off. And I think we all know were going with this one. It's been more than 24 hours since it happened, but I still think the officials rubbed some salt in those wounds that were open. So, not to surprise anyone, but let's just get fucking straight into it. VAR is corrupt, innit? It's absolutely fucking corrupt. If I've ever seen something that's corrupt before, it is VAR. Now, after the game, obviously many argued that if we finished our chances, we wouldn't be in that situation, and which is very true. But once Somerville scored the equaliser, I actually thought the momentum shifted back with us for a bit, and I thought we're back on the attack now. It felt like we can go and get a goal. And then obviously the situation that happened with Matthias de Ligt, I mean, I think universally it's pretty much agreed, apart from, I think Dermot Gallagher on Sky Sports went around saying that no, he thinks it is one. Obviously he did, because he's a fucking idiot. But I think the majority of people looked at that, whether it was Match of Day, pundits, whoever it was, and agreed. Even some West Ham fans and pundits were agreeing that that was never ever a penalty. It was just a scramble in the box. It was a bit of a coming together. And those fouls happen so many times in the game, and it would never, ever, ever got pulled back. Then for the senior referee, one of the best in the league apparently, Michael Oliver, to intervene and say it was clear and obvious mistake that the referee's made, so you need to go and have a look at it. And then the referee himself didn't want to undermine Michael Oliver, because that's his big boss, is nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And the call felt subjective, didn't it? It felt like he was looking at it, and he looked at it probably about 9, 10, 11, 12 times, and he didn't want to make the call. But then also he didn't want to undermine Michael Oliver either. So he's gone with Michael Oliver's call, and it's another shocking decision. They've already apologised for Bruno Fernandes's red card against Tottenham, which defo was not a red as well. I doubt we'll get an apology for this one. I haven't seen anything as of yet from the PGMO. But it's another absolute shocker that is going in the negative category. And look, this is supposed to be the best league in the world, with the best players and the best teams, but we don't have the best officials. Make that make sense. Bizarre, innit? Right, on to the next negative. Look at that. 14th in the league, 9 games, 3 wins, 2 draws, 4 losses, minus 3 goal difference, 11 points. No matter what scenario you're in as a manager, no matter how much bad luck you've had, no matter what players are on the pitch, Manchester United should never be in 14th, ever. Ever. 25% of the season is gone. Like I said, we have 3 wins, 11 points, minus 3 goal difference. Look, everything that's happened with the manager day has gone past. He's done. He's gone. That's it. There's we're thinking there's a plan in place. You've got interim as Ruud as the interim, and then there's talks about Nagelsmann and Frank, which I'll get on towards the end. But he had 3 seasons in charge, £600 million spent. You can talk about missed chances. You could talk about a couple of players throwing them under a bus, whatever you want to go into. But I've seen enough bad performances from an Erik ten Hag so-called team to warrant it. I mean, after the Spurs game, I was done. I mean, you can go through all of last season. There's plenty of bad performances there, and people were saying, including myself, we're talking about injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, there's been some extremely questionable games, especially in Europe. His record in Europe is absolutely horrific. So, yeah, look, we play Chelsea next, and they go 9 points ahead if they beat us. In which case, if they do beat us, which is very likely at this moment, who knows? You might have a manager bounce with Rude. We might go and beat them. But if they do beat us, they go 9 points ahead, and we're probably looking around 17th, scrapping Ipswich and Wolves for points. So, yeah, look, everyone's expecting a manager bounce, but what if that doesn't happen? What if Rude takes over and there's still poor results? It's not impossible, is it? There's no guarantee factor Rude's going to come in, beat Leicester, beat Chelsea, and beat POAK after it. He could lose all them games, realistically. So, look, it's not guaranteed. Everyone thinks, oh, now there's a new manager, new ideas. It will be sweet. Don't work like that. Rainator is saying, now that is pretty clear, Ruud van Nistelrooy won't be in charge permanently. I'm worrying these lads will down tools again. Charlie saying, Ruud's tactics look to be more suited for England. He does not like long ball and he does not use high press. He could surprise everyone. How many games until Ruud gets a red card on the sidelines? Rainator as well saying, that table is exactly why the choice has been made today. I wasn't here earlier, so who's your ideal replacement? Mine's Xavi or Nagelsmann. I'm going to talk about that towards the end, so make sure you stick around. I'm going to get into the manager stuff. By the way, Sam's on BBC Manchester today talking and representing the channel about Erik ten Hag and what's next, so make sure you go check him out at 7:15. Munsey Talk saying, who's next? He had to go, but will the new man change anything? They need a window to sort out. Maybe they should have done this in the summer. Right, the next negative. My God, missed chances. That one being the biggest one on your screen right there, Diego Dalot. I don't know how on earth he missed that. But look, throughout the game, you had Garnacho who missed 2 to 3 chances. Højlund missed a big chance. Bruno had a free header that was crossed into the box. Dalot missed an absolute sitter. You had, I think it was nearly an own goal from Alvarez that hit the bar. You had Fabianski's unbelievable save from Casemiro's header, which Dalot should have followed up. And there was a stat that came up at half-time that Man United have created 26 chances, big chances, in the Premier League this season, and have missed 22 of them, which is a failure rate of 85%. I don't know what the answers is in terms of coaching, how to grind, get these forwards finishing and polish the game. You would think if there's anyone who's going to do that on the planet who is a coach, it's Ruud van Nistelrooy, who is probably our best finisher we've ever had at the club. Pure finisher I'm talking about, like a pure number 9. So you would like to think that, but let's not forget, Ruud's been on the coaching staff since the start of the season, since pre-season, should I say. And we haven't managed to iron any of that out. Now, granted, he'll have more leverage to make bigger decisions, and he'll be able to get his team on the pitch. But this is why I'm saying don't expect too much change. I could be absolutely wrong on this, but I don't think there's going to be gigantic changes. If you've watched Ruud van Nistelrooy at PSV, look, there's some things that he does different tactically, but he's still a transitional coach, So let's see how he gets on. On to the next negative. Diego Dalot's form is worrying, innit? Especially now because he's our only fit right back. I don't think he's looked great recently. Didn't mark his man on the corner in the Brentford goal. Don't forget that. Didn't close the man down for the Fenerbahce's goal on Thursday, who put the cross in. Missed an absolute sitter yesterday. The goal from West Ham was at his back post as well. With Diego Dalot, there's no doubt whatsoever about his application, attitude, everything like that is spot on. Listen to the players that talk around him and the players that know him. No, he's probably his biggest critic, and he was probably fuming after that game. And the fact that he's been our only fit fullback really for the majority of the time, and that's why I don't want to be too harsh on him. But there are some big defensive red flags with Dalot at the minute, and he's 25 years old. This isn't a young prodigy anymore that's coming through. He's 25. He'll be in his prime in the next couple of years. And to sit here now, I can't say that he would be my number 1 right back going for. I can't say basically that he would be. I trust him if we want to challenge for titles and going into the Champions League. If you're in the Champions League semi-final, final, do you trust Dalot at right back? Because I don't. So he needs to improve. And who knows? Maybe a new coach will kind of trigger that. I'm not sure. He has improved since. Look. He has improved since he first came in from Porto under Mourinho, and then he played for Ole and Ragnick. He had an improvement. And I think under Ten Hag, he's probably played his best football, but he's still not at the level required yet, where you need to get to those kind of world-class levels. And I think he's miles off it at the minute. So Dalot had to be in the negative for me. Next up, another giant concern with United. Everyone knows this one all too well, don't they? We are first half FC. And this almost feels like it's hereditary, like we've inherited it. Even when United play well, it is only ever in spells. And this backdates to when Ole first started, and even moments with Jose Mourinho. There seems to be some kind of fragile mentality that is set within this squad. That after 20, 40 minutes, it's like, oh, we tried our best. We didn't get the job done. This other team comes into it and they end up winning the game. The first half against West Ham yesterday should be 2-3-0. Easy. West Ham come out the second half. They're like, that's the best that they've got. Let's go stick it to him. And they do exactly that. You can't allow this, and I'm already telling you what you already know, but you cannot allow this with top-level professionals. Never. Even when Man City are 3-0 up, 4-0 up, 5-1, whatever it is, the intensity, the pressure, the levels are still 100%, and they will step on their neck. United seems to have this blasé attitude that, like, you know, we play for 20, 40 minutes, and then if we don't win it within that period, it is what it is. I remember under Ole, we used to watch games, didn't we? And you would play for 45 minutes where you're like, oh, it's underwhelming, not really a shot on target, we're losing 1-0. And then the second half, they'd come out and they'd end up winning it. They'd call the second half FC. So this is what I'm saying. It's happened under a lot of coaches. It's not just something you can chop and change overnight. There's a lot of players that have this in their system, like your Dallots, your Rashfords, your Brunos. They just seem to have this mentality in these kind of games, and it's worrying because it's not something, like I said, you can change overnight. It's like mold that's deeply rooted in its core. Worrying. Right, should we talk about positives? Because there was a couple of positives, despite what people think. I think Noussair Mazraoui is the correct decision. When we look at the battle yesterday between Wan-Bissaka and Mazraoui, because obviously Mazraoui is at left back, I thought it kind of solidified in my mind, at least, that he was the right decision, bringing him in. You had Mazraoui playing as an inverted left back. I thought he held his own. I thought he looked very comfortable. And bringing him in for, like, I think we worked out initially as £12 million. Mazraoui is a top signing. His versatility he offers, how comfortable he is on the ball, bow-footed, quick enough. Yeah, that's one piece of business that I look at over the summer. Look, there's question marks over Joshua Zirkzee. There's question marks over Mason Mount, Anthony, all these guys, right? And rightfully so, there should be question marks. But there is none for me with Mazraoui. I think that's a top signing. One of the best signings United have done in a long time for the price. Because 12 million in today's game doesn't get you much at all. Does not get you much. I think if you was to sell him now, I think you're getting 30, 40 million for him. Easy. Especially with this new contract. So I think that was a very, very good move, smart move by United. But he went off holding his knee, which is bad news because now, like I referenced before, the only fit full-back that we've got is Diego Dalot, innit? So, concerning. That's concerning. Munzie Talks is saying there won't be much change as there's still 10 players. Dallow's been shite defensively since he's joined us. Now it's getting found out. Ray and 8 is saying, I mean, he's been rotating full-back positions. I don't know what on earth is wrong with Shaw and Malacio. He needs some games back in his natural position. First half FC was a problem from the start to the end in Eric Ten Hag. We always conceded 5-6 minutes in every second half in season 1. And now he couldn't adapt to the opposition. Mazraoui being flawless since his arrival. When Ten Hag played him at the 10, that's when I knew that he was done. Yeah, strange decision, wasn't it? Very strange decision. On to the next one. Mr. Casemiro has made the positives. Who would have thought that? Look, not just because he scored a goal. I feel like people always just want to reward the man of the match performance to whoever scored. It weren't because of that. I thought his performance overall was much better. There was a lot of people questioning it, don't forget, before the game. A lot of people pushing for Ugarte to start because he looked really good against Fenerbahce. But I thought Casemiro justified it with his performance. I thought it looked really good alongside Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes. You can see the chemistry there. And even when we dive further into the statistics, 8 out of 8 long balls, 2 crosses complete, 1 big chance created, 2 shots on target, 3 out of 6 ground duels, 4 out of 5 aerial duels, 7 clearances, 1 interception, 2 tackles. That is a monster performance. A monster performance. He didn't make any mistakes, didn't really look out of place. He looked good. And it's kind of awoken me a little bit, if I'm honest, to say, because I was hugely critical of Casemiro, especially last year. I was like, he's fucking done. His legs are gone. He's too reckless. He's too wild. He dives in. But maybe management was missed in terms of, because you've got Ugarte there now. You don't have to play him every single game. And when he can come in and do what he did yesterday, I like the look of him. And if he's slightly more protected, if you go to a system, let's say Nagelsmann comes in, he plays a back 5, right? I'm not necessarily sure if he would go for a Casemiro profile in that midfield, but if he's slightly more protected, I think he's still a top player. I do. And guess what? Football opinion changes. That's just life, innit? But I thought Casemiro had a really good game, so he was in the positives. Bruno Fernandes was as well. People won't admit it. People will question his captaincy at times and his performances this season, which is absolutely right. But I thought he could have had a couple of assists yesterday. He was key in every creative pattern that we had, was shifting it quickly, operating in all areas as a free roaming role, was linking up with midfield really nice. You saw some good patterns. And again, we dive into the stats, people. 97 touches, 3 key passes, 2 big chances created, 7 out of 10 long balls, 5 out of 9 ground duels won. I want to see more performances like this from Bruno Fernandes on a regular basis. In terms of long-term, his future, obviously he's just signed a new contract. Probably didn't expect the manager to be gone. How will the new manager use him? In the meantime, Ruud van Nistelrooy, I'm sure we'll lean on him. I'm sure we'll keep him as captain. But if a new manager comes in, they might not fancy him as captain. They might strip him of it. Maybe that'll be a good thing. Maybe he'll play better. I don't think he is a captain. I don't. I think he leads by example 75% of the time in his performance, but the way he conducts himself is not a captain for me, personally. Look, if Casemiro was a little bit younger and could play every single game week in, week out, he is someone who I would look to. Someone who's won a lot of trophies, someone who's, played for the biggest clubs, was captain of Brazil, is someone that I would look at. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know. It's a tricky one for whatever new manager does come in, and we'll touch on that shortly. So, yeah, let me know, guys, what you think. If there's any that I've missed, any that you would add in, I'm happy to discuss them. Charlie's saying, do you think Ruud will strip Bruno of being captain, just let him play his game? I don't think he will. I don't think he'll make big decisions like that. I think in an ideal world, Ineos want him for the next couple of weeks, settle the ship. Let's get some results, get some points on the board, get a good feeling around the squad, similar to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did. And then, near maybe the international break, we can really look to bring someone in and to convince a Nagelsmann or a Thomas Frank or someone like that. I don't think they'll be making big calls like that because you don't want to unsteady the ship already more than what it is. Who knows? Maybe he will. Maybe Ruud will be ruthless. I'm not sure. I don't see him doing it, just in my personal opinion. Ornstein saying we're working on AMORIM deal. Is that true? You're not baiting me out here, are you? Manchester United are in talks to appoint Ruben Amorim as their new head coach. That's from Ornstein. Oh, wow. Interesting. Well, obviously, I'll get onto that in a minute because I've got a whole manager section that I definitely want to discuss. So, yeah, let's dive into that shortly. Yeah, just as a conclusion on this pros and cons, and then we can dive into the relative news. In the immediate future, we've got Chelsea. I know we've got Leicester on Wednesday, but we've got Chelsea in the league, and that's a massive, massive game. Because the comparison, you look at Enzo Maresca coming in, he's been in there 2.5 months, and the effect that he's had and the way he's gotten playing top 4 contenders after the absolute catastrophic couple of years that they've had. It's night and day in comparison to Erik ten Hag. So they're coming into that game. They're coming to Old Trafford looking like they are fit and firing. You've got Palmer, Jackson on the score sheet. They've got so much quality. Exhausted is the correct word I would use for this team in this season and the mindset. To think we have another 29 games to play in this kind of form is actually like a real-life nightmare. So I'm praying to God that Ruud comes in and offers, something good tactically, gets that connection with the players, boosts the morale, because boy, do we need that in a minute. I don't think you can get much worse than what Ten Hag was doing over the past couple of games. We've got 1 win in 8 league games, so even a draw would be respectable at this point. But yeah, well, I guess we'll just have to see how he gets on. We've got a couple of previews coming up this week. The Leicester one tomorrow afternoon, and then we've got Chelsea on Thursday as well, which we're going to cover maybe on Friday. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, stay tuned. Smash like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell. But I mean, I might even have to change the title of this to Ruben Amorim, because if that's true, that is very, very interesting. I can't say out of all the coaches that's been linked with us, that's probably the one I know least about. So we spoke about Thomas Frank, Xavi, even when Thomas Tuchel was being mentioned and stuff like that. I know quite a bit of depth about them in terms of how they set up the profile, etc. But Amorim is one who's not an unknown. I've watched bits at Sporting. I've seen how he sets up, very high press. You know, he's flexible in his tactics as well. But whether it's one of those where you look at the leagues again, I know this is a bit of a lazy comparison, but Ten Hag, for example, coming over from the Eredivisie, everything he was doing in the Eredivisie looked fantastic, phenomenal, and everyone was like, "Bring us that football." But ultimately, Ten Hag couldn't bring that football because we didn't have the players to do it. So will Ruben Amorim face a similar situation? How much is his compensation package? Because I'm pretty sure, was it Liverpool who had agreed a compensation package for him? I'm pretty sure it was something like that. So it's going to get pricey as well. And you're already paying like 17 mil or whatever it is to pay him off. And I know there's been mentions of it, talks of it, that they're happy to do that. I think Ratcliffe was coming out from the Independent before. They're happy to do that. Interesting. If you go, what do we think, guys, about Ruben Amorim? Someone you're interested in, someone you've watched, you know, quite a bit. Talk to me, because I have to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and blabber shit and pretend that I know all about him and that he's amazing, because I don't. I haven't watched Sporting a lot. I've seen bits, so I can only offer my opinion in that sense on that. Why did Ineos think he's the guy most of the point? Why did they think he's the one to bring it? Is there some links there with City? Was he a contingency for Pep Guardiola? Of course, Omar Barada will know all about that. Interesting times. Omar Barada will know because I'm suggesting, obviously, he was at Man City. So they would have had some kind of contingency plan when Tiki left, and then they brought in the sporting director. But I'm sure they denied, from what I've seen, rumours about Amorim. What I'm going to have to do is, I'll lean on you guys first and foremost, but I'm going to have to do some research, and I'm going to have to do like a full show on it. To see what he's genuinely like, because that interests me, if that is true. Well, it is true, because if it's coming from David Ornstein, he's not someone who chats shit, really. So, yeah, I'm just going to change this up here. Sorry, it's 2 seconds. Because that is breaking news, isn't it, technically? So, right, what we saying, guys? Evening, Nick. Evening, Shreyas from My Damn United. It's David Ornstein. It's as good as we're going to get as a source right now. Absolutely. Amorim would suit Bruno really well. I'd like an established manager. This feels like another Eric Ten Hag style appointment. That's what I mean. To be honest, it's going to be split anywhere you go. Innit? It's going to be split. I don't think there's going to be a collective where everyone's like, that is the guy. I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. I really wanted Thomas Tuchel, and I think he's going to do a phenomenal job with England. I really, really do. But that's obviously we've missed the boat on that now, haven't we? So, yeah. Sorry. I'm kind of half talking to you guys and half trying to sort this graphic out as well. I do apologise, but I'm done now. So, well, I'm nearly done, should I say. Get your thoughts in. Please do smash like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Ruben Amorim. Big news. Big news. And when will they make that decision as well? That's what I want to know. When will they decide to do it? Are they going to do it over the Christmas period? Are they going to do it over the international break? Are they going to do it soon? Will Ruud just have 1 or 2 games in charge and then he'll go for it? I don't know. This is getting... I feel like something is developing every minute with this story, and it's honestly at this point I am struggling to keep up with it. But I want to give my thoughts, because I had a bit of a piece on like Xavi and Nagelsmann, and Thomas Frank as well. But obviously, yeah, TalkSport went a bit early on it. There was a couple of other journalists who were going early on it. What do we think? Who would you guys go for personally out of that kind of wolf pack, if you will? Because I look at Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann is someone who definitely excites me. I like what he's done with the German national team. They've kind of had a renaissance. I like what he did with Leipzig, his work there, and his work at Bayern Munich. And people will use Bayern Munich as a bit of an asterisk on his name, but they've had troubles for the past couple of years. That's an understatement, but, you know, the whole change up top and the board scenario there was a shit show, wasn't it? So Bayern Munich I don't really use as a measuring stick, but I like the work that he's done there. I thought watching him at the Euros was fascinating, you know, tactically flexible, great high press, kept the ball really well, and it's something I would definitely consider at Manchester United. Thomas Frank, likewise, is someone who I think is overlooked personally. I think because he's not got the credentials, let's say, of a Nagelsmann, or because he's only been at Brentford, really got them, you know, promoted, and then kept him as a mainstay in the Premier League, which is an amazing achievement. It might not be a trophy, but it's a really good achievement. Tactically, he's really good as well, and he's a good character. So Thomas Frank, I wouldn't overlook, but I don't think he's going to be a priority option. I was always going to say he's going to be a B or C option, and we had some quotes coming out from him today saying something along the lines of he's going to be loyal to Brentford. Also, I can't remember, you know, what the specifics was, but yeah. What does it matter what I think? Because it seems like Ineos think Ruben Amorim is the guy. If David Ornstein is reporting that, he will have that on very good authority. I would love to know where his fucking sources is. I'd love to know who it is who's telling him this. Let me read out the actual thing from Ornstein. So Manchester United working on a deal to appoint Ruben Amorim as head coach. United ready to pay €10 million release clause, and in talks with Sporting to finalise. 39-year-old Portuguese open to accepting the move. That is crazy. So that's a lot more advanced than I realised. A €10 million release clause. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I guess, guys, look, some of you might already have it, but I guess it's time to do some digging on Ruben Amorim, isn't it? Yeah, is that another risk? What convinces Ineos that he's got the minerals to deal with this job? You know, it's 1,000,000% the hardest job in world football, Manchester United. It is. To go from, you know, Ragnick came in and he was mocked, and this is a guy with knowledge in the game like no one else. He was considered the godfather of Klopp and Tuchel and all these brilliant coaches that we've been talking about. You've had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a club legend, didn't have the resume, but did okay with the team, didn't work out. Jose Mourinho was regarded as one of the best coaches on the planet. Maybe not right now, but historically one of the best coaches on the planet. Won a treble with Inter Milan, won Champions League. You know what I mean? Like, a mega coach, and he failed. Louis van Gaal, at the time, was considered one of the best tacticians. He came into the club, and he failed. David Moyes was supposed to be the next Fergie. He failed. So, I genuinely, it's hard to say who the right option is, because everyone's failed. Not failed. Failed's harsh. You know, Jose won trophies. Ten Hag won trophies. They didn't necessarily fail, but what we want as fans to get back to the top of Premier League football, to get back to the top of European football, there isn't a right or wrong answer at this point. So if they think it's Amorim, I'm sure they've done the due diligence. I'm sure there's a certain style that they want. Intense, high press, tactically flexible. I know Amorim's got that personality. He's got that character to deal with it as well. Because that is something that I felt like... Ten Hag missed a little bit. I always reference him. It seems he comes across a bit like a head teacher. Even in his press conferences sometimes, he lacks that bit of character. And there's no slight on him. It's just who he is as a human. I think Amorim has that from what I've seen. So, yeah. Look, they're willing to pay €10 million. Interesting, isn't it, guys? Talk to me, though. You guys might know more about Amorim. I don't know. Speak to me, people. Amorim would suit Bruno. Sorry, I already read that out. It's a release clause. I think he could feature for POAK. Nagelsmann brought a huge revival for German football and rebuilt Leipzig. We could really do with something like that. Because I may be naive, but Ten Hag and Amorim are thriving with established teams, and we are furthest away from that. That's what I mean. It doesn't come without its concerns, does it? But, you know, everyone can say that. Ben Jacobs has just put, Ruben Amorim has verbally agreed to become the new Manchester United manager. This is moving so quick, by the way. So fucking quick. Elite Baller saying, how good is Amorim's English, Nick? It's a good question, Elite. It's a fantastic question. I'm not sure. But whichever way you look at it, they've convinced the top manager to leave mid-season, haven't they? So, yeah, this is very, very surprising, Ruben Amorim. I'm just seeing if there's... Bruno Fernandes on Ruben Amorim earlier this month. Since Mr. Amorim arrived at Sporting, it has been one of the best teams to play the best football. They've been consistent. The signings have been right, and they're in a very good moment. It's a very well-prepared team. That's from Bruno Fernandes, so he obviously knows them quite closely. Yeah, wow. This is, it's all cooking up at the minute with Manchester United. Stay locked in. Make sure you turn on that notification bell. Smash a like on the video and subscribe. We're on 7,293 subscribers currently. It started off as a pros and cons show. We started talking about Julian Nagelsmann, and now we're talking about Ruben Amorim with a compensation package being agreed and him verbally agreeing to join Manchester United. This is absolutely crazy. I don't want to go off stream because I feel like something else is going to happen as soon as I do it. He got asked today, actually, about the Manchester United. He said, if your agent came to you and said, you've got a meeting with Manchester United, what would you do? Get on the plane? And his reaction is just, he's kind of smiling and doesn't really say anything. Wow. Buckle up, people. Buckle up. That's what I'm saying. Because it's going to get mad. It's going to get crazy. Ineos ain't messing about. They are moving quickly on the situation. There were some people who thought they might wait until the end of the season. You know, doesn't seem that way, does it? I mean, Ineos might wait until the end of the season is what I'm talking about. Interesting, Amorim plays a 3-4-2-1. That's what I mean. I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Let's do some, you know, whilst we're on the fly now, I don't mind going through some of his stuff now so we can get, because, look, I've researched him before. But let's be honest, as a collective, there'll be some people who do. But do we watch the Portuguese league week in, week out? No, we don't. So let's go through it together. Tactical flexibility. Amorim's tactics are based on the opponent, especially in Europe. He's known for his use of 3-4-3 formation with a back three that breaks the first line through the centre of the pitch. He's known for his positive mindset, clear message. He's also known for avoiding discussions about referees with the media. Developing young talent. He has a reputation for developing young talent. He's taken a chance on players like Marcus Edwards, Victor Gyökeres, João Paulinho, Mateus Nunes, and Pedro Porro. Man management is fantastic. Creates a good atmosphere and spirit and togetherness with his squad. And took Sporting. He led the club to the first league title in 19 years and also led them on a 32-match unbeaten run to claim the Portuguese League Cup. Not bad stats, are they? They sound great. And I tell you what, if Ruben Amorim is coming, you can also bring Victor Gyökeres with him as well, because what a striker he is, by the way. He is definitely someone who I would look at. Gyökeres, top striker, and I think we need, no disrespect to Rasmus, no disrespect to Joshua Zirkzee, but Gyökeres, top striker, if you can get hold of him. Who knows, he might end up going Arsenal. So yeah, that's Ruben Amorim for you. I'm definitely going to do some more deep diving and really look at him as a coach and watch Sporting and watch footage, because it's all good reading about it, but I actually want to see how his teams play. And that's leave us where we're at. How are Sporting doing in their league? I think the first or second, right? I'm pretty sure. Don't know why is that going on there? Have a look. Yes, top 27 points by 6 points. 9 wins, 0 draws, 0 losses at the minute. I tell you what, Sporting Lisbon, just in like SEO, search engine optimization, they'll probably look at their social media figures now and they're going ring, because everyone's looking at Ruben Amorim and what he can offer. Interesting times, man. Interesting times. Look, in terms of all the latest updates and news, we cover it on our Instagram anyway. So if you don't follow our Instagram, Real Reds Talk, all the handles in the bottom right-hand side of your screen there. You got the Instagram, you got the Twitter, and you got the TikTok. We cover everything when it comes to Manchester United. So for any updates, drop us a follow on there. Like I said, subscribe to the channel with 7 subs off 7,300. Ruben Amorim to Manchester United seems imminent. How do we feel about this appointment if it's made? A compensation package of around 10 million euros. We're getting a top coach mid-season. What kind of impact will he have on Manchester United? Get it down in the comments, and I will see you guys